Hi everybody, welcome back to From Dungeons to Starships, and are close to the end of 2024 episode. In the last few videos that we've put out, we've been mainly dealing with my entry to the Mordheim 25th anniversary modelling, painting, stroke competition that's been going on towards the end of this year for 2024. Now, although as of the recording of this episode, no results have been put out yet, I thought it would be great to try and have a look at a lot of what the community have been putting forwards in terms of their entries themselves. Because I really do think that with a game that's lasted 25 years, a lot of the input must have come to the community to try and keep it as fresh as possible and to keep the level of interest. There was a number of different categories within the competition itself, and I didn't want to go around and just pick the ones that I liked personally. So what I did, I just put a general shout out onto the Mordheim Facebook page and say anyone who'd entered the competition who would like me to include a picture of their work in this video, then to hit me up. And literally I was inundated with people who wanted to share their hobby, not solely from the high end guys whose work is unbelievable, right down to the base level guys who are just getting into the games, and it's first warbands and stuff like this, and etc. So what I thought we'd split it up and see how you guys out there take it, if you want to see more of it. That we're going to have a look. First off, we're going to look at the warbands, and we're going to have a look about half a dozen to different entries into the warbands categories from people who have been in touch with me. So again, if there's something that you'd like to see more of, and you'd like to see the other categories covered, please leave a comment down in the comment section below. So while you're down there, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button for me, so you can keep up to date with what's happening on the channel itself. So we're going to show you some photos, and basically with these photos I'm going to go through and I'm going to pick up bits that I really enjoy from seeing other people's work, because not only is it you see the level of passion that people put into your projects, which can't help but be inspiring anyway, but also there's little bits and pieces that you thought it's a really good idea. I'm going to be taking that, save that for a project later, etc. So let's have a look and let's see what kind of ideas some of the guys come up with. So first up is Axel, and Axel has brought us more of a village feel warband. He described them as Ostlanders, and being a group of villagers, shepherds, farmers, etc., who've got tied up in the toils of Mordheim theme itself. Now, the real bits that I like from these designs that he's put together is not only the colour palette that he's chosen, because he said it's that true Mordheim feel of those desaturated colours, but also within his write-up he talked about these farmers using cloaks and masks to actually mimic themselves being beasts themselves, and in a way them using those costumes to be able to ward off animals that could be coming to do their village village animals harm, etc., and to be using that kind of idea of more of a scare tactic than anything else. It really made me think that this is maybe something that I don't know, and I have to talk to Axel a bit more. Maybe it's a story he's heard of farmers from back in medieval times using these kind of tactics to scare away animals, to scare away wolves and bears and everything like that used to be in there. So I really enjoy the fact that he's probably brought a bit of a real world history, the real world idea, and used it within his warband to give his warband that flavour. Now, talking about colour, we must move on to Chris. Chris has brought to us his Bretonian warband. And as you can see again, it's really diving into that sawn palette that we talked about on countless other editions of this podcast, being the favoured palette of John Blanche, the browns, the dark greys, the blacks, etc., etc. And it's all been brought into this dramatic effect of having this wonderfully creative and wonderfully painted warband. You know, if I was to be able to play a game with a warband like this, I'd be a very, very happy man. But it's not just the way it's painted that really got me. I've always thought that, so like, in some parts of Mordheim itself, there's a little bit of a whimsical nature to it, and little odds and sods that are going to, so like, enhance it a little bit and give it a little bit of a comedic value. And I've got to say, the way in which he's included the lights on the helmets with the candles. So there's a couple of guys there who've got sort of these part melted candles that are attached to their helmets to help them see a bit clearer in the dark. And I just think that's absolutely brilliant. Just little aspects like that have taken the run of the mill figures and just enhanced them a little bit with a little bit of why is he using those candles? What's the story behind them? What's the narrative that's been talked about here? And that whole thing about being able to bring a narrative to the table in a warband is something that I really, really enjoy. And second, Chris, to move on to this time with this warband, I like the fact that within the community, a lot of inspiration will be taken from other genres of films, books, etc., etc., and be brought in to Mordheim as a bit of a theme for a warband. And this is exactly what Chris has done here. So Chris has taken the models for the great John Gilliam film Time Bandits and brought them over into running a warband within the Mordheim setting. So you can just imagine these guys who are, at the end of it, plunderers of, treasure and stuff like that, using a specialist map. Why wouldn't it would tie into leading to some kind of wormhole in Mordheim, and about them coming through and grabbing some of the stone, etc., etc. But it's not just the fact that he's got the main characters in there. He's also backed it up with some secondary line characters like Robin of Sherwood, who appears in the film, and Sean Connery when he's playing the Greek hoplite who's in there, and you can see them in the backs of the warbands. And it's just basically he's taken pretty much the entire aspect of the film and created a warband around it. And again, that's off to you, mate. I can't, that type of integration is something that really inspires me. Well, the all-time easiest, I wouldn't say easiest, but most accepting kit to be able to kit bash with is Nurgle, because there's nothing you can do that can be said to be wrong whenever you put in kits together for Nurgle kits and stuff like that, for Nurgle warbands and stuff like that. And this is exactly what's happened with Dan's warband here. This is when I first saw this warband, it was basically the modelling that had taken me, by surprise, and also the paintwork as well. So that those aspects of, being able to give over those little bits of aesthetic in terms of odd bits of kits that have been moulded together. So poxwalkers with various other kits, etc., etc., and of course the arbitrary Blight Kings as well, being the other mainstay for Nurgle kit bashing. But the bits that I really like is his inclusion of the Skulls pack from the $6 range. So that box of a few hundred skulls that we got, that should be a mainstay of any kit bash or converters kits. But you can see that from a number of them, he's got a number of crows which have got skull heads on them, etc., etc. And he's moved further, and I think it's he's put down is his hounds look like some really necrotic fleas with little skull heads as part of them, and I just think it's brilliant the way he's taken a lot of other kits and being able to put it into and be able to come up with something that has got a coherent story and a coherent narrative running through the entire warband. And you know, them crows with the skull faces, oh, so good, so good. And I'm from Dan to David. David's brought us his sister's retinue, his warband. I the thing to admire from this is just how coherent the warband is. Just his use of not only the basing but the colours on the models, the effect he's got with the metallic paintwork, etc., etc. It's just solid. You know, just a you you wouldn't even need to be told that these guys belong to the same warband. As long, you know, they could be lined up on along the table, and if you were asked to pick out what the warband is between 20 or 30 models, automatically you get it. And that to me is something that really, you know, is really difficult to pull off in some cases. And we do see it that, especially Mordheim as well. Mordheim is a bit of one where we do take a little individual license with each model, and you know, try and sometimes make it a little bit more that a bit more ragtag, that they don't really belong together, that they aren't, you know, they've guys who've been, you know, thingy together by the guys moving into the city with, you know, promises of this, that, and the other. But this with the coherent coloration of it, and it's just awesome. It's just brilliant work. Just can't say, you know, I'm in awe about people who can do metallics like this. Mine is rather more fundamental than this going forwards, but you know, for anyone who can get that level of shine out of what is basically just paint. Now here we have Sean, and Sean has given us again another take on a very mutated warband, but unfortunately we don't have a picture of the full warband with Sean to be able to use, rather than just individual character and individual mutation between them. But you can see with some models, some of it, the work he's done to be able to get the models to look the way they do, with the amount of kits that he's used. It's just stunning. It's just brilliant work. You know, there is, again, I always find it that, so like, you know, one of the fun things to do with kit bashes and war bands like this is try and identify where all the pieces come from and see if you can have a bit of a checklist. But I think within Sean's work, you'd be quite up against it to name everything that he's used. You know, again, everything as well has been given that coherent paint job afterwards. So again, it's tying the three members that we've got here together, but it just looks awesome. Yeah, I like the way that, so like various bits and pieces have been used outside their specific genre. Like you've got 40k bits that have been used in line with Warhammer Fantasy. Again, some of those times, a lot of the times, the kits don't really intermingle that well, but Sean's been able to do it here on a couple of the models that we've got shown. So again, one of those things that inspires. Yeah, how much more different bits and pieces could I make use of within the kit bashes that I do going forwards? And it's something that's really opened my eyes open to, that maybe I'm being a bit more selective with the kits I'm looking at. I've left my, out of the ones that guys have shared with me, I've left me two personal favourites to the end now. And the first one is from Mazia. Now, the reason why I like this warband so much is A, the way they've been displayed on this display board with the ramshackle, tumbled down house with the trees and everything like that, just puts the warband directly into the world that they are going to be from. But the one thing, the standalone thing, is the age of all these models. Now, as such, on this channel, we started off talking about the 5 best old Hammer models that we could you could get a hold of, and dwarves were part of that list. So to see, a pretty much a full warband made up of models from the 1980s, and to still be able to stand alone or stand up against anything else that we might be able to put on the table, just you know fills my heart with gladness. At the end of the day, this is the type of thing that I love to see from the community. That models, games, and stuff like that never die; they just get repurposed and reused. But this is just an example of taking that age-old models and giving them a new lease of life. Well, our final warband is brought to us by Nathan. Now, when Mordheim originally come out, there was 8 different warbands to be able to use from. 3 or 4 type human characters like Riegland wasn't there. There was Mordheim and stuff like that, witch hunters, and you had the undead and various Skaven, etc., etc. So there was only really 8 warbands for you to choose from the original base game. But with the 25 years that has since passed with that, a lot of the times the community have devised their own lists, not only to keep the game a bit fresh by adding new ways to play various different races, but also because people would like to experiment a bit more with the war bands they put together. And this is what has happened here with Nathan's and this Lizardman warband. So obviously one of the things you'd probably not realistically put together would be Jungles of Lustria with Mordheim, but he's done it. Just each one of the models within this warband has such individual character, it's unbelievable. But again, it's given a coherency from the basing that is used, etc., etc. Now, the bit that's about this entry that's made it stand out and made it one to be the final one we showed on this video is the fact that this is not actually Nathan's warband. Nathan is part of a community who played this game. They had someone new who wanted to come and try out and wanted to play more time, but didn't have a warband themselves, but was in the idea about using Disneymen, etc., etc. So basically what happened is that once the warband was put together, Nathan has taken it upon himself to paint the warband up for the guy who's actually playing them. So this is a warband that's been painted and given away to someone. Now, if that doesn't tell you anything more about the community you don't need to know, then I don't know what will. Nathan, hands down, for me, out of the guys who submitted, mate, yours is probably the pinnacle of what I'd look for, not only in a narrative, but a storyline, but something that shows the community in the best light it can possibly be. And can't go any further than that. So that's it, ladies and gents. So a little look around about a few of the war bands that were put in for the 25th anniversary of the Mordheim painting competition, modelling competition. Again, if you'd like to see all the entries that have gone in to the competition bracket, then I'm sure you could be able to have a look around and have a search from keywords on the Mordheim Facebook page. And hopefully, in the near future, there's going to be some results put out for various bits and pieces, and we'll see and maybe have a look at those results in future editions of from Dungeons and Starships. So it just goes to me to say thank you very much for being part of this inaugural year of from Dungeons and Starships. I wish you all the best for 2025 going forwards, and hopefully we're going to be a bit more into our builds by this time next year, and we'll have a look about what we can come up with for various other areas of the build process, etc., etc. If there's anything you'd like to see from the channel, anything you'd like us to cover, anything you'd like the viewpoint on, any questions you'd like, again, please make the comments known in the comment section below. Again, the Patreon is again up and running and ready for anybody who'd like to be part of it. It's again, it's minimal cost, and all tiers are the same. Nobody's ever but above anybody else, and it will give us access to again about looking at some little competitions that I've got in mind for 2024, 2025 going forwards. So guys, thanks for watching. All the thing of the season for you, etc., etc. And I'll see you all next year. See you later.